Welcome to GMS, the special series of introduction to our key members of the People's Power Party. And today with me is Dr. Michael Fang. He is my assistant SG. Welcome, Michael.
Hi.
Hey,
Hello. Hi.
yeah,
Please take it back. Okay.
yeah.
Hello, Singapore. For every parent who has a child, and every child who has a dream, those who wish those dreams to be realized, I am with you and I am for you.
Welcome. Good.
I am
good
Dr. Michael Fang.
Okay. Well, Michael, I know that you have contested in last election before, right?
Yes, contested in Jalan Besar in 2020 as a candidate, right, along with
Right.
famous opposition figures,
Look,
and as well as I've written a book, right, for the benefit of Singaporeans called Love Singapore Vision 2020. And so I hope everyone has a good year, and I'm looking forward to the next elections that everyone, including myself, will have a chance to vote for. Let's talk about for this topic.
before, introduce yourself first.
Basically, I graduated with a medical degree
Mm,
and the practice for a couple of years, but I more interested now actually in teaching, right?
Teaching.
So yes, so I've been teaching for quite a number of years
Right.
since, and I have, taken an interest in politics, because everybody needs to have a voice, especially the common man. Yeah, and we just hope that we get more representation in parliament, and people would have greater say. Yeah, other than just the elites, commoners as well. Yes.
So what do you teach and where do you teach?
Oh, okay. It's actually a private thing, so I kind of like teach at use my own center right now. I teach at lecture at private college, yeah, and I teach health sciences, yeah.
Health sciences.
Yeah.
All right. Good. So yeah, and you must be very busy with all your teaching and all.
Yes. In addition, I do some admin work, right, at the clinic, as well as I'm undergoing a law course currently. So
So you're taking another course.
yes. So I
All right. So okay. What actually makes you want to get into politics, especially opposition politics, instead of um?
actually, okay, this question has actually been asked to me a few times before, and my simple answer is this: we sometimes need to have a greater diversity, a greater range of say, and actually, it doesn't matter which side it is, as long as we bring about more representation from the people, what people want. Yeah. So, from that aspect and that angle, I feel that what matters at the end of the day is that we speak up for Singaporeans and get a better deal for Singaporeans and basically make sure that we make Singapore great again.
Okay. So I asked the other three people, our colleagues, Sharon, Dorothy, and all that. So Sharon, have you her perspective why she came in because of the family background gone through and all that, right? But how about you? What is your topic? That means your agenda in politics.
Okay,
Yes,
as I've clearly explained earlier, actually, I don't really have an agenda. My agenda, if you want to put it that way, is to make sure that the people of Singapore are well taken care of. They have they're able to get by their lives with good jobs, right? Good job prospects, marry, have children, grow up to be strong and proud Singaporeans, as well as make Singapore a very prosperous place. Yeah.
Right. You could have done that with your professional degree. You could have done that for the white side. Why the other side?
Well, as I said, Singapore needs more diversity and representation. Of course, if PAP has shown in the past, it has been given many chances, right? In fact, it's been in power for over 70 years, right? And if they had wanted to change the trajectory along the way, they would have done so and implemented more reforms. But unfortunately, thus far, it seems that they're keeping on the same track, the same goal. But however, having lasted for 70 years, cracks would have appeared and reforms would be needed. So to initiate these reforms for Singaporeans to have a better life, right, and better jobs and better prospects, right, we might need a kind of like a reform agenda, or maybe even, if PAP has actually shown it capable of reform, then of course we will support it along the way. Yeah. So there is no.
So you're actually thinking along the time that it's time for us to reform
Yes.
some of the policies, some of the structures, political structures.
Definitely, definitely. For the long term and for the short term.
All right.
Actually, it's not about politics, but for the greater good of Singaporeans. Isn't that why all we are
Yeah.
here?
Okay. So what's your first thing off? What do you think need to be reformed, or what are the key issues that you think that were rendering our focus in doing something to reform the policies or whatever to actually make it better? What are the policies things that you think is relevant?
Okay, so first of all, to explore this question, right, it is a very relevant question, and we need to look at PAP key issues on the report card, right? The key issues, right? So, like for example, right, what every person needs, right, is actually a job security, job salary, and job salvation prospects. Yeah, what I mean by that.
What are job salvation?
Yes, yes. So for example, so this I call it the job three S's, a concept I'm introducing here.
Okay.
So like for example, job security, everybody understands that we need to have a continued employment security of job. We don't have to fear the next day we lose our jobs kind of thing. Yeah. The job salary, okay, we need to also, in order to sustain our families in Singapore, right? It is only logical that we have a sustainable salary, right? And of course, salvation prospects. What I call the next S is salvation prospects. So it's like we need to have prospects in our job, ability to upgrade to a better job, right? Okay.
Progressive.
And yes, yes. So we are saving the long-term career of these jobs. Yeah. So our party will actually, right, want to cater for Singaporeans for totally affordable, to find totally affordable jobs, right, for themselves, right, and their families. So
Okay.
this is our party positioning. I felt that is correct. Yeah, because if we don't focus on job security, salary, and salvation prospects, right, to improve them for Singaporeans, you know, then what are we actually looking forward to? Yeah, because only with these three job assets in place can we afford to raise families in Singapore and support these families, right? Our families, right? And so in this aspect, the PAP has actually been a bit, lackluster or kind of lacking, because as far as the job security, salaries, and prospects are concerned, it is kind of like we can see it all around us, right? Job security, the last 4 years have not been very good, right? In fact, in the last 2 quarters, almost 95 to 100% of the jobs went to not even locals, foreigners. Okay, the definition of locals.
Local Kopapa.
Yes, yes.
Correct.
Foreigners, it's true. And the definition of locals, right, include PR and citizens. So actually, how many of our citizens are affected, right? So if we look at these last 2 quarter statistics, it is alarming. We actually don't have any job security, or not much, to say the least. And our salary, basically, because of Singapore's overpopulation, excess, high immigration rates, what actually happens is that our salary is, we can say, very competitive, but at the same time, overly competitive, right? Why do I say this? Like, for example, okay, can you bring an African to Japan? Okay, I like this example, and pay the African, and pay the African salaries in Japan. You can't. You can't do that, because why? Because why? It's not sustainable to the social fabric and society of Japan, right? It will break down, right? Because if you do that, everybody else will be, priced accordingly, right? So if I can hire this African worker for, let's say, 130 USD a month, why can't I do this same for the Japanese? So that kind of logic should not apply, right? Every society has this growth and maturation stages, and of course, it's packed to a certain level. So if we are going to bring excess immigration rate just to have a most competitive salary in the world, then we are in trouble with our own society. Our own social fabric can't sustain. So remember this example. It's a very nice one, yeah. And of course, now I go on to salvation prospects. All right. So if you notice, right, in Singapore, right, nowadays a lot of Singaporeans are struggling to find adequate jobs. I mean, like, good paying ones. What they want are good paying ones, stable CPF and everything. And basically, some of them can't even get their hands working in a gig. All right. For example, project drivers, Grab drivers. Okay. Maybe like food delivery. I'm not looking down on them. I think they're fine. They're absolutely fine, right? But their salvation prospects are limited because you keep working there, you don't have promotion prospects, right? You don't have a view to increase your quality of life. You're kind of stuck there without the CPF, without the salary or career progression. So that is important for Singaporeans. All Singaporeans need to have hope for a job, right? And I believe, right, that this hope is coming soon. Yes.
In what sense?
If let's say Singaporeans wake up and realize, oh, we need reforms. We need reforms other than a one voice PAP, right? If we need reforms other than the one voice PAP, oh look, should we vote for the opposition instead? Maybe, or some alternative voice. Okay, I'm not doubting that PAP has some good alternative voices, but still they're mainly suppressed by the mainstream flow of things because PAP has its way for too long, and so therefore they're unhindered. There is no, almost zero checks and balances. All right, that is yes. Let me finish because I haven't finished my sentence. There is no effective checks and balances, almost to the extent because why I say this, right? Because there are 83 PAP MPs in Parliament. Whereas, how many do we have? Yeah, we have 10 formal MPs in Parliament. And so basically, the balance of power is tilted. And if everyone follows the whip, therefore, you would not get the alternate voice that is, that you can consider for fresh ideas or more balanced voting. That's what I meant. I did not mean that. Yeah.
Oh, well, let me do a match. Please reply me if you can hear me. Is it okay? The mic just now I was told that the mic some problem. That's okay. Was time. Okay. Okay.
Oh,
Okay.
yes. On the job three S's: security, salary, and salvation prospects. So I'm talking all of this in view of overall PAP report card, right? And the fact that basically with 83 versus 10 MPs, in view of that, there is not much effective, checks and balances lah. Of course, there are some institutional ones.
So how
place.
to actually solve the problem? Balances in your view.
Yeah, so that is a puzzling question. So if we wholly analyze it and logically analyze it, actually what we need is a more representation of people's voices. So like for example, if People's Power Party could have more candidates voted in, right, or maybe um, PSP or SDP, so it will become a more balanced parliament. PAP can still be in power. That's fine, right? If they do well and continue to do well, but at the same time, without these checks and balances, then you're going to have a very, one party riding roughshod along the road once and without people uh, feedbacking to it effectively, right, efficiently, or then for their own needs and concerns that arise along the way. Yeah.
Okay. Now you have something here that you want to put up the LKY code. Right?
Yes.
What is it about?
Yes. So actually, LKY himself has said that there will come a time when people say that, why don't you try the other side? Because it's either because the PAP has declined in quality or the opposition has increased in quality, right? So I mean, either way, whichever meets the point. So it's like, so it's not like one party can right roughshod all the way, but actually we can have a point in time whereby people say, look, let's try the other side. Okay, so Lee Kuan Yew said that in 2011, and I think he was correct. So, yes, in fact, I think the time for that is very near, and we people need a bigger representation of voice, right? And we need to be able to find a balance of people's interests. So that's what we need, and that's what we should have. And I believe that we are following the right spirit of Lee Kuan Yew. In fact, we are following the very shoes of Lee Kuan Yew, right, which people respect as a founding father of Singapore, the founding principles of which are based. So we are not deviating from that path, but rather we are fulfilling that mission. All of the opposition, right, And we're not there to, just to raise articles of trouble. I mean, although, some may complain more than others, yeah, still, we are trying to have a positive mindset for the nation, right? Rather than focusing on the negative change. So that is what we should be voting for.
It's better to have some voice and no voice. No matter how weak voice is. Okay. For example, beside jobs, right? Do you think will be the next important thing for voters to consider when they actually go to vote?
Actually, the next important thing I feel at the bottom of my heart is cost of living. We must always champion the cost of living.
This Lawrence Wong, his speeches, the speech he made.
Yes. So
he was saying that it's a global trend, it's not nothing to do with him. Or nothing to do with PAP, it's a global trend.
Okay, if you want to use the argument, it's possible, but what is the issue with the argument? Now, you take a look, and you really break down, right? Okay, so if let's say currently, 2019 or 2018, okay, cost of living was very high, okay, it rose further, right? Globally, throughout all the world. But and if I was then at the most expensive city in the world, would not things be balanced out and other cities catch up to become the more or even the most expensive city in the world? Why are we still then the most expensive city in the world? Aha! That means, in other words, other than global inflation, other than global factors, there are also local factors, which, like, for example, we're coming to that, okay? Like, for example, raising of taxes, right? Like, for example, GST during a time, when economic slowdown, where everybody's suffering. Yeah, so that's a very tactful move, right? At the same time, all right, carbon taxation is coming in, water taxes are going up, everything is going up, and so all this compounds into a very huge problem. I mean, it's fine when the economy is doing well, and try to do this, maybe we can accept a bit of it. But when it comes to the economic downturn and slowdown, and you are adding on to the pain of the people, how will people feel every day when you go out to buy the coffee, right? It used to be, for me, $1 a cup of coffee, 80 cents. Hey, suddenly the next moment I see it, for example, I'm drinking coffee in Yishun and Yio Chu Kang, it's 180, and 170, and I got receipts to prove it. It's like, and then there was even a time when I bought coffee, right? Coffee cup was $2.20. I was like, okay, it was Kopi Peng. Kopi Peng. The thing is the cost is so cheap. I mean, goodness, $2.20 for coffee. I was like wondering, what has the world come to? And it's not just me. I bet it. I mean, I'm very sure every Singaporean feels it. Okay, coffee, okay, can be very cheap. I agree with it. But why are we using coffee? Because it is a basic unit of measure. So when we talk about coffee, then of course the next thing we're going to talk about is Cai Peng. Because Cai Peng cannot be cheaper than coffee. I mean, the Cai Peng seller will complain, right? If your Cai Peng is cheaper than coffee, right? It makes no sense, right? Because the materials are more expensive. So we are looking from the three C's: coffee, Cai Peng, and cashless vouchers. Okay, so now if your coffee is going to be $2, or double the price of $2, guess what's going to happen to your Cai Peng? It's at least going to be like $6, $7, $8 right nowadays. Well, okay, some are very cheaper. They're still suppressing their prices, but it's not going to be long. You can be very sure that after elections, all your coffee and Cai Peng prices are going to rise. They're going to come back with a vengeance. Okay, and the next thing is cashless vouchers. So, how is cashless vouchers going to help? Sometimes for rebates and stuff like that.
I'm very happy to have
Yes, of course. But of course, you understand. Exactly. It won't last you for more than 1 or 2 months, 2 months, or maybe some good 3 months, or maybe some people can extend it, extend the wrap, maybe a little longer. But you see, vouchers are temporary, right? So if you understand that vouchers are temporary, then the policy pain is permanent. So are you voting for a temporary voucher or a permanent policy that will affect the rest of your lives? So how long can the government keep giving vouchers? Is that the solution or answer? Would you rather have your Cai Peng drop down to back it was pre-2020 and your coffee back down to the same prices, or would you have, would you have them double and then give you a $500 voucher? Okay, global inflation is a real thing. I agree, I acknowledge. But remember, if global inflation applies, right, and some politicians are saying, okay, we understand you, global inflation is actually causing it. We're trying to empathize with you and make your life of cost of living easier. But if that's the case, why are the most recent findings that we are still amongst the most, if not the most expensive cities or city in the world? Kindly explain that, because that is not possible if the rest of the cities around the world are also catching up in terms of cost of living, inflation, right? So you can't have your left hand, sorry, you can't have your left hand and right hand eat at the same time, right?
Someone else. Kopi and tea are like Singapore lipstick.
Yeah.
What's a lipstick?
So basically, it's superficial. We use it as a kind of a very fluffy, superficial. I agree, because it's something we all can relate to. But the true one is actually the cost of typing, which most of us refer daily.
Okay, question from me. Aurelius is back.
Sure.
But okay, I just want to speak to both of you all lah.
Yes.
So I mean, okay, cost of living is high. And then you made a point, right? But I want to like, is cost of living related to GDP? So I think the argument, what they will say lah, right, is that our GDP is high, so cost of living is high. Right? We make more money, that's why cost of living high, what? Right? Everything go up. That's what they say lah. So maybe you all can talk a bit more about it, or Ming Sing can talk about it.
You must get the causation relationship. In economics, there are something that we call the real GDP growth. It means with the price index. So when your inflation is imported, it doesn't increase your GDP. Right? In terms of balance of trade, they're actually more. Lawrence Wong is right in one sense. He says that we are doing everything to mitigate cost of living. What he meant was that MAS is trying to use our Sing dollars exchange rate to maintain a strong Sing dollar so that whatever increase in prices, the imported goods that comes in will not be expensive. However, we still suffer 30% increase in food. As we know, when you go to hawker center, if it's not an increase in price, it is a reduction in size, portion. So what actually went wrong? There must be something else that caused the increase in cost of living. And that might be first wages. But frankly, do you have an increase in wages for most of the Singaporeans? What, 5%?
No, it's actually 0.5% yearly
Number two,
for the last
rent.
many years.
Yes, experience an increase of rent. That is the key thing that caused the cost of living fly to actually spike. But actually, that will actually increase GDP, correct? Actually, but it is actually rent saving. It is not creating jobs. It is not due to the increase in say in terms of the landlord. So we just be very clear about it.
Okay, if when rent increases, that means there's more demand for rent lah. So basically, there's more population. So I think one of the arguments is that when you have more population, there's more consumerism as well. You know, the C plus I plus G, X minus M, which is the econs GDP.
Inflation.
That will worsen.
You have more coming, you have more demand.
But that increases GDP output. Right?
No, right?
You have more
You have to import more goods and services, right? Then people will charge higher.
Okay.
It's just as simple as that.
It's like
going into a stereotype, actually increase in population itself with a limited expansion of supply chain and infrastructure will increase rental. So the causal relationship is not that simple. It's one way. Actually, you have to take a look at the whole perspective. So increase in population will increase GDP. It's not because of the inflation that caused increase in GDP. So the causal relationship is not. So you have to get it clear. So those people in your upward, they don't have a very clear mind of economics. You must be very clear, crystal clear what caused what, and not the other way around. So having said that, um, while people might have high GDP growth, high GDP in other countries, or we have highest.
Yeah.
And the measurement is very simple. What is the quality of life compared to other countries with lower income? That actually matters. Why? It actually measures how the money that you actually gain through employment can sustain what kind of lifestyle. Is it better than Malaysia? Is it better than Norway? Our GDP per capita is actually higher than most of the Nordic countries.
Okay, so how do you really quantify quality of life?
Then you have to do the same. Right? So, for example, you can do cross-sectional comparison, intersectional comparison. What does it mean? Intergeneration comparison. Compared to my generation, is your life better than mine? Quality? You can drive a car very easily. I can live quite comfortably with only $2,000 income. When you are earning $6,000, you might be struggling because you are paying more higher mortgage.
Yeah, so a lot of it depends on how the GDP was derived and where the GDP actually comes from or goes to. So, with respect to that, that's why I come up with the three C's: coffee, cai peng, and cactus voucher. Yeah.
So when Lawrence Wong says that no longer 5 is the peak, it is a digression,
Yes.
it's a regression. That means he cannot promise progression of the quality of life
Yeah.
as in 1990s.
Okay, so from an outsider perspective, we always read right on the news, wow, Singapore every year GDP grow. Every year, what, 2%, 4%. The numbers are good, but I think from your both of your point of view is more of how we make the money rather than how much we make. Something like that, right or not?
Yes, and
Yeah.
where the money goes to. Yeah.
GDP growth might not have anything to do with us. Why? Because they increase people. GDP equals to population, consumption, plus land, labor. Basically. So you increase your labor, definitely you increase your GDP. It doesn't mean that our increase. Second thing is they might have increased migrant workers or foreign female higher. They might actually have lots of billionaires and billionaires
Yes.
coming in.
Don't forget, we have a disproportionately high number of billionaires and renterism.
We gaslight all these must understand where does the growth.
So actually, if you do a backward deduction, you might arrive at two answers.
So Michael Fang, what is your proposed solution to all this?
Yeah.
I mean, I've listened to
My step, because you cannot one kick take the sky. That would be nonsense. Nobody can do that. What actually people can seek to do is to seek a series of progressive reforms, starting, for example, reversal of bad and policies that are harmful to the people or do more harm than good, for example. So remove bad policies, then replace them with good ones. Right. The next step.
What are the bad policies?
Okay, like for example, we have to consider and review whether GST is really necessary as a tool, for example, right? And charge at that high rate, because you know why? GDP is based on as a percentage tax based on goods and services, right? So if it's a percentage based tax and the economy is doing well, then of course the total amount collected will be more. But if you were to rise the percentage, is that a necessary need? In fact, I believe some minister, was it the prime minister or some minister that said that it will be profligate, yes, profligate to raise GST, so because he understood that concept, right? So if that was the case, then there may not actually be a need to absolutely receive the right?
Okay, it's not exactly right. Why we need to raise GST? There are two conditions. One is overspending, of course. The other one is because the reduction in income tax for higher income. Then you have to cover up the portion. That he did not mention.
But he did say profligate, so I'm just quoting and stating his point of view.
Many reasons. GST is not a percentage. It's actually called a value added.
Yes, the value added. That is percentage based, yeah. That is
Okay, I think one of the position the government has taken is that it's because we are moving towards an aging society, so we have to spend more for the elderly and healthcare services and all this. So what do you guys think about it?
It actually means that this issue, the CPF scheme actually doesn't work. Our system is supposed to be self-financing.
Yes. Let me point out one interesting fact to you. Right, a couple of years ago, I think a report emerged, right, that out of every two MediShield dollars that went in, only one was spent. In other words, when you pay $2 for MediShield, they actually profited $1 off it, in a sense, right? Because you only spend $1, so you definitely one. So to put it simply, in other words, it's actually self-sustaining and it's actually pretty good. But yes, there is an aging population problem. I agree. We should address that. But if we were looking to improve our economy, adapting to the silver hat generation, that can actually be done. Because it's like last time when people fight wars, right? You take a knife and a bayonet, whatever, maybe a spear, But after that, people switch to guns, right, and machine guns, right? So as we become more tech savvy, right? So you see, the richest country in the world is not, let's say, like India, but rather America, right? Why? Because it produces iPhones, for example.
For others' perspective, to look at it, if they are spending, they are really spending enough money. Why are we having shortage of basic needs, hospital needs? Number one. Why are we having not enough doctors? That's number two. Basically, we have overstressed healthcare professionals. They're overworked. And they actually are not very hard.
They are made, a lot of them are exploited. You want to say the word, you say.
Yes. Places like Hong Kong, Australia. That's why a lot of foreigners that came in, after 1, 2, 3 years, they will migrate to Australia. And we keep having this problem.
Because the workload they place on doctors and nurses is extremely high. And it's
So that
extremely
is
stressful.
actually not example. Because you can increase, but where are the visible investment? And MediShield is actually so-called technically, if you talk about insurance scheme, it's making a lot of money better than the private insurance companies. Why? That is what we want. So the other way of mitigating these medical bills, I've always said, make foreign workers' labor scheme paid MediShield. So you pull their medical insurance into our offer. When they leave, then they don't enjoy, then that all should actually become our own people.
Yes.
You do not need to increase this.
So the foreigners need to pay their part stresses of our local infrastructure, but not just hospitals, like for example, transport systems as well. They're getting very what do you call cheap rates, when MRTs and what. So we see them hacking our MRTs, and basically, our elderly don't get a seat. Some pregnant women. I mean, it's just, although we can't blame our foreigners per se, but I'm just saying is that because of the stresses on our system, it also leads to frequent breakdown, frequent stresses.
So in overall, you want to think from holistic place. You just look at the amount of money we spend in healthcare as a percentage of GDP. We are the lowest among the first world countries. That doesn't tell you with what we claim.
Yes, and the most definitive indicator by numbers is the amount we put into MediShield and the amount that comes out. Yeah.
Okay, I think the government also always boast lah, right? And that's why also I sort of believe them also. I mean, we always I mean this one I had a debate with Koh Meng Seng also. We always see the Nordic countries always spending a lot on healthcare
Yeah, sure.
and all these social programs and all this. But our Singapore government has always boasted a balanced budget every year. We rarely get into deficits or never even get into deficits. As opposed for all these first world countries, they always loogie money one,
Sure,
always
sure.
got negative.
Sure.
And
But
it's
is
at
it
end of the day, it's still on a tax on it's an indirect tax on the population. Either through they print money to cover or they issue bonds. It's still increasing the money supply. So what maybe you can talk something about this.
It is an understatement to say that even when they have so-called a technical deficit, it is not a deficit. Why? In the international accounting, national income accounting, they did not take in land sales for the income. Right? Regular operating, that is a lot of money. About 20 billion. $20 billion.
So you're saying this one is Singapore's or other country never take into account?
No, Singapore doesn't
Doesn't take into account.
Okay,
Okay.
my counter question to you is very simple. All right, should a government always raise so much money that it will always be in excess, or should it raise just enough, or just like 20% above, right? Rather than every time has so much excess that they may not fully know what to do with it and carry over. So the question is this: should they be raising that much money from the public? Okay, I mean, the government basically raises revenue by a few methods, by land sales, but also by raising taxes from the people. So my question is this: should the government be raising so much money, right? And okay, after raising so much, also increase GST and have so many charges and taxes that's going on that poses a heavy burden on people. Remember, Nordic countries, right, have, although they pay high taxes like 40%, right? Okay, and various stuff, they still have everything covered. So my question to you is that even if we were slightly below Nordic countries, do we have everything covered from healthcare to education? No. These are still very expensive in Singapore, right? Don't talk to me about $8 heart operations, right? I don't believe anybody will buy into that, right? I mean, of course, some could have because they're in a nice spot, yeah. Okay, okay, but yeah, like insurance, I bought probably a lot of it. But can most of us actually buy that much insurance to have $8 heart surgeries? And the second thing is that, other than that, other than being in such a good position and really we buy so much insurance or we have so much cover, right? Are most of us having such a situation? No, you have to pay like maybe 10 over K, 25K for a heart operation typically. And then we also have post-surgical, we still have to take care of all these things. And the kids, right? You don't tell me you don't need to feed the kids don't need education. You go and see how much preschool costs nowadays, right? Easily a few $100 to maybe 1,000 over, easily, right? So I mean, all of you are feeling it, right? And what pains me most is when I speak up for women, right, who have families and people who have families. When you see them go to the market, we used to see them carry baskets, full baskets of groceries. But nowadays, you only see them half baskets of groceries. Yes or no? With maybe like $50 or whatever the budget is. I see that typically. Whatever they used to carry in their basket is now essentially as a rough guide half. All right. And if I'm seeing that, everybody else seeing that, I mean, don't you feel? I feel the heart pain inside. All right, because they are typical mothers, your grandmothers, right? People like maybe Sharon even, right, who has parents, grandmothers. So it's like they are getting by on their savings, right? And if your purchasing power is half, how much do you think that $500 or $1,000 or maybe even if I give you $10,000 for the year, how much do you think it can actually carry you through? So the answer for a household is not very much. Yes.
So also I have a question. So you mentioned that okay, people go to market, then their goods are now half, right? They
I mean, you
have
can
less
see that.
groceries.
You can see them carry half.
But on the news, we always read, oh, inflation only 2-3%, 4%, 3%. I mean, it's not 50%. What? How come half?
Okay, you want to talk about newspapers? Everything can say. But you see, from each chain, from each chain, right? Okay, wait, from each chain, right? Level, right? Let's say you come in from producers, you bring in vegetables, increase 2%, meat 2%. But however, along the way, right, each chain, don't forget, the effect adds on, right? And from the basal price. So you can't just say that.
Let me answer this point of view. Do you know how inflation is
Basket of goods.
a basket of goods? How do you calculate the basket of goods? It's called the weighted average. Okay? What does it mean? It means that, for example, property prices might only increase 5% or 2%, right? But by virtue of the weight that they put in, the amount of money transaction that is considered in that basket of goods that comes in, right? You have a lot of weight. Therefore, the 2% will be counted very significantly. But this transaction actually occurs only a few thousand people. Not everyone do the transaction. Now, but for food, everybody eat food. They only spend on average lesser in a month. Even add up 6 million people. So when you calculate the weightage, even if it's 30% increase in food prices, the weightage is actually very much lesser as compared to that's how it's calculated. That's why you might feel the pinch of 30% increase in food prices, but they keep telling you it's only 3%. That's why there's a disparity of what you feel on the ground, what the data actually shows. Okay? So this is not a very good
Comparison.
comparison.
Yeah.
So if we want to do a different inflation figures for the commoners, minus away the transaction of big items,
Correct.
right? You only need the three things: transportation, right? Food. These are the most common thing that affect everyone.
And
Then you
yeah.
calculate the inflation. Then you know how it is. On the other hand, when you talk about food, when you go to hawker center food pricing, there might be no inflation, but they cut the portion. How do we actually quantify inflation in that sense? You can't.
Okay, so this is from ChatGPT and SingStat. Okay, I'm on ChatGPT. Okay, they are citing me SingStat. Hey, don't puff me if I get this wrong. But basically, they says that they say the inflation in Singapore is measured by consumer price index (CPI) lah. Okay, and CPI basket is divided into 10 main expenditure divisions.
Correct.
And these divisions include housing and utilities, food, transport, recreation and culture, education, healthcare, household durables and services, miscellaneous goods and services, communication and clothing and footwear. So what I'm hearing is like you are saying that we should remove maybe housing and utilities, is it?
Yeah.
To have a more accurate depiction of inflation.
For example, you might be paying the same $4. By your time shrink by 30%. How do you quantify that? You quantify by having another type or additional food along with it. It is very difficult when it comes to the portion of food in the hawker center. Cooked food. So these figures are just indicating. What matters is you go, like what you say, you go to NTUC, the same amount of money, how much?
By how much? Right.
Last time, $20 can buy for 3-4 days one. $20 now 1 meal also cannot.
So you're looking at sensitive indicators versus specific indicators. So there's a difference in that.
So this there's no perfect
There's no
calculation.
perfect calculation.
We will know when there's a disparity of what we feel, what are the figures that come out.
Because no matter what the figures say, and some studies say, the fact is that you see this on the ground happening. Everyone around you, okay, who can understand the simple, brutal logic of, suddenly your purchasing power is half, right? So let's say if your salary is 5,000, your purchasing power is half. So let's say you can buy 5,000 apples. Now left with 2,500 apples. Is it simple enough? I think that would be the most sensitive as well as specific indicator, right?
But you can buy the same amount but smaller apples.
Which is what we are seeing, actually. What we're seeing. So the ground feedback is not just studies, as you've learned, right? You grow older through the years, you learn that's what's happening. Yeah? We look at more than one thing.
Okay. So, the other indicator for this is wow, you have $1 HDB,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. Wouldn't everybody happy?
Okay,
Okay, so let's have a scenario. Okay, so now, wow, you bought a HDB flat, let's say 600,000. A couple of years later, it goes to 1 million. It's very happy, right? Very happy, right? Okay, then you sell your property for 1 million. Question is, okay, where are you going to live after that? Huh? Are you going to, for example, rent, or are you going to buy a similar unit? So remember, when you rent, the landlord's not going to have mercy on you, no. The 20 years payment for the 99-year HDB, you still divide over 20 years, and of course they'll charge the rent accordingly, right? I mean, which landlord doesn't do it? This is basic economics. And then whereas the other, so they're not going to lose money because, hey, I'm going to have pity on their tenant. Okay, so basically, if they're going to split the payment over 20 years, let's say based on current value, then your rental period will last you less than 20 years, sorry. Less than 20 years, right? Definitely. Okay, and then the next issue is that, okay, let's say you want to buy now. $1 million HDB, very good, very big. Hey, next one is 1.5 million. How? First, okay, let's say you got to cough up $1.5 million in cash. Either that or you go to loan from a bank, right? Because you need a place to stay, right? You loan for the bank. Are they going to charge you the total quantum of interest more or less? Let's say the interest rates. Are they going to charge you more or less than the previous loan? You tell me. You tell me.
so
Obviously,
HDB
yes. Yeah.
there's something called sticky prices. That means properties normally will go, but when you want to come down, the rate of coming down is actually slow, right? Because when you already engage in the big ticket item like this, most people are reluctant to cut price unless there's a sudden shock, economic shock, right? So we are not facing it right now. Only during the COVID time, for example, there's a sudden shock, right? But the sudden shock is short of HDB because all job and all properties are project are stopped. And that's why we are experiencing now. But one key part of PAP's policy is actually the population policy. That is the permanent feature that built in into pushing the property prices up. Basically, it's because we keep increasing population, there must be a demand on housing, right? But we are not building enough, then it definitely go up. That's the demand and supply again. But of course, HDB, BTO can be controlled by PAP government. They are reluctant. Although they say, well, up to your median income and median income, who buys BTO? Young couples, and of course, new citizens. They compete for it. So every year we are going to give 20,000, 30,000 new citizenship. These people are going to compete for BTOs. Not all, but definitely some.
And the point is that, remember my example of $1 million, you sell off your property for 1 million to have to buy the next one for 1.5. Do you think the quantum of interest and the monthly repayment is going to be lesser than what you had in the past? So the answer is no. It's not going to be better than the previous deal you had, right? So in fact, it's causing an increasing burden on someone who actually has to sell his HDB for you. And not to add the fact, at that age, right? Normally after your first property has been fully paid 20 years, for example, right? Yeah. Maybe 45, 65. Do you think the bank, okay, 45 you can still get a loan, but if you're 65, can you still get a bank loan? Do you think about it? No, seriously.
So for those people that say I sell at 1.5 million, yeah, I downgrade to 500K lah. Why cannot?
Yeah, but are you comparing the same thing? If you are comparing what you bought, an apple for an apple, right? Okay, let's say for example, apple for an apple, then you are losing actually. It's the same thing. Like for example, if an emperor, okay, say I'm going to walk around the street with my full clothes on, okay, then now I cut half my clothes, I still walk around happy. I mean, is it the same thing?
That comes back to the point of quality of life. Is your quality of life progress?
I have a smaller house. I have $1 million in my pocket. What cash?
No, you have nothing in your pocket. Because I mean, you have $1 million, but you don't have house. Yeah.
Who pays for
This
it?
is 1 million
Somehow
house,
you
right?
have.
Yeah.
So I think to me lah, I think the bigger point is a never ending cycle lah. It's
Not
not
really lah. If you
not
put your
self-sustaining.
trousers into shorts, right? Do you still consider them trousers?
Okay, PAP's
Think about it.
debate article is this. The $1 million, over $1 million resale prices of this PP is only 2%. And double check it, it's wrong. Right? In 2024, the percentage went up to 3.4% of all the transactions. And you must always remember, when we do property surveying, we always depend on what data? Surrounding data. Although it's small percentage, but it will affect the surrounding pricing. So it will actually snowball. That's why it's from 2% it increased to 3.4%. And it will increase to 5%. This trend goes on.
Yes.
Right?
But ever escalating at property prices create two problems. One, if you sell a house, where are you going to live? Are you going to live on the streets? Number two, the quantum of loan you're getting, you're paying more interest for it and you have to seek a higher quantum. The burden is higher. So that is why there's so much angst on HDB. It's not just
Lawrence Wong says the BPO, right, will go according to the number of years of the median, right? It's true. Property surveyor, there is actually a way of surveying land prices. The official surveyor always take into account the surrounding area, the property prices as well. So I do not know how he reconciles his position on that. Okay? If we keep increasing that, how he is going to do away with the set of formulas, because it is a bureaucracy. If you set the terms of reference, for example, you can't change it any old how. So the only way to change it is you either discounted the land price. Right? You must have a formula. But if you are allowing this to go off like this by increasing population, the main key thing is actually increasing population and the new citizenship. You are not going to solve the problem. You are not going to solve the problem.
yes.
Okay, so my final question about this is, okay, let's say okay, we don't want resale prices to be $1 million wow. Okay. So I mean currently now from what I understand is sort of free market, right? Then what if government come in and step in? Then they say your communities how? Right.
Now, free market, there is no guarantee of free market. Always remember that. Because there are timing, there are asymmetric information, and a lot of irrational emotions involved in people who are in the market. The property transaction, if you look at it, percentage of the number of housing stock, this is always a problem for economics in property transaction. Because you may have a very small transaction, but this small transaction market price actually affect the whole housing stocks pricing. It is actually not an efficient market. You cannot say the whole housing stock is actually a supply load stock. And it is actually not a free so-called free market principles in it.
Okay, so how would you guys as PPP propose to solve this resale, ever increasing resale prices thing? I mean, with or without government intervention. I mean, I guess that they're trying to have, by increasing increasing or decreasing the LTV, making it harder to purchase and all this. So this is what the government is doing lah, right? So is it enough? And like, if it's not enough, then how?
We will have aging population in citizens. Why are HDB crazy?
Population that increasing.
Definitely
I mean,
due to external pressure. New external pressures that are coming as opposed to a stable population.
Population policy,
Yes.
right? You can control the new citizenship that you give it up. No second way about it.
We're not saying that we are rejecting New Zealanders. We love them, but you need to have them at a slow rate, acceptable rate to Singaporeans. You cannot say you bring the whole, whole town, whole village come here and then have a field day. We're dead.
But PRs,
Yeah. Now cannot name the race.
I
Kena.
never said anything.
Very good.
PRs numbers quite consistent. If total, every year is about half a million plus minus. But it doesn't mean that no new PRs are given out because a lot of PRs upgraded to new citizens, and they give up about the same number of PRs trying to cover up the decrease. So every year you have new PRs going to buy secondary market. Of course, the price will go up.
Price will be maintained, right? You said there's
So from my
Resale.
understanding, two PRs can buy HDB. Is it?
PRs can buy HDB.
Yes. Okay. So there's no second way about it.
So that
Put it in.
correct.
Either you detach the retail pricing of the secondary market, right, to take care of our own citizens, local born native citizens, youngsters like you, right? To get the cheap one, the cheapest one. If you don't detach it, it is never going to go away.
That is why we're having a kickstart program from PPP, right? Yeah,
Yes.
we help young families.
Now wait. I make a comment first. So what would you say to those people who are hoping maybe the not so young Singaporeans right now they have a resale and they're hoping to flip it for I don't know 400, 500, 600K. What would you say to them? Because what you are taking is actually not a so-called populist route. You are saying that this is not sustainable, and maybe we have to make some trade-off right?
Now, my proposal is this: always remember HDB is not an investment. Don't ever dream of monetize your home for. That's actually against ethics, morals, family morals, right? That's the rule number one. You can only make money when you have second property. So I'm against the additional stamp duty for HDB owners to buy a second properties. Right? They should be allowed to buy second properties without the additional stamp duty. That is investment. HDB is not your investment. You must get this right. If you don't understand that, right? There's no hope for Singapore.
So even if they wanted to treat it, remember they will still face the same two set of problems I raised earlier. After you sell already, where do you live? Do you live on the streets? I mean, okay, that's why it's called a home and not an investment. But okay, let's say you choose to live on the streets. Remember that there is a lot of payback and cost and everything to health. And so basically humans, but in the Maslow hierarchy of needs, we need a home to stay. And after that, you want to sell, you need to get another home. Either you rent, right? Or you buy. And you rent, the landlord is not going to have mercy on you. Whatever is paying that 20 years, right, for the 99-year lease, is going to charge it to you 5 times. So imagine how much you have, pay a fork out. And secondly, so it's not going to be cheaper, no? You're only probably going to live it less than 20 years. The second issue is that you're going to pay more because the second property you're going to get for the same orange to orange, right, is 1.5, 1 to 1.5. Then, or let's say, for example, 1.5. Then you're dead because you're going to borrow from the bank at a higher interest loan and a higher quantum, and you're stuck for life. So that is the quadrony and the dilemma and the danger that Singapore needs to realize. Is even if you did have the cash right now, the question is, so what? What are you going to do about it? Where are you going to live? Where's your family going to live? Where's your daughter going to live? Your son? You ever thought about that? Or your grandparents? You're going to throw your parents out on the street. So there are issues here that, because most people only own one property, all right? So we have to cater to the needs of local Singaporeans and one person. That's why an alternate voice is important. Right?
Okay, we are a bit running out of time. Okay, what's the next issue?
Okay, so basically, we at PP have a positioning to keep housing and transport affordable, right? The next thing I want to talk about is, okay, let's talk about accountability and local maintenance structural issues, infrastructural stress. Like, for example, have you noticed that recently, have you seen the flooding that's been occurring throughout Singapore? Now, of course, you can blame on the rains, etc. But it's flooding. Yeah, I mean, it's occurring a bit too frequently, right? And in a first world country.
This one they say
They talk
ponding,
about
ponding. Is it true?
Yeah, you have to use the word.
No longer is
I mean, if you want to call it flooding, then probably have to cover your head, then you start to worry, is it? Okay, well, whatever. But these are maintenance issues. So my question is, has the government been doing a job to maintain, people's livelihoods and life? You need a transport to get to work and you encounter these kind of situations every day, MRT breakdown 3 times a day. You tell me you sian or not. If you're not sian, then I salute you, okay? But for most Singaporeans, they have to go to work. They need their job, do not get fired. They can't get to work because of their flooding issues. Their house get flooded, the car get flooded, you have to repair the car damage. Hell, tons and lots of issues. So and then so how do you want to talk about this? Yeah.
You know, before 2005, before 2005,
Yes.
I'm 35 years old. And then,
Mm.
only only in my memory,
Mm.
two flooding in my life.
Okay.
It's 20 years. So many flooding.
Okay. It's not
Climate change.
change so fast until this is getting ridiculous lah. Even if there's climate change, the government should have planned for it and accommodated the change. So whatever, if you don't need to go to work for the rest of your life, if you want to be underwater or you want to complain it's flooding until it reaches your head, well, that's fine. That's up to you. But Singaporeans need to make a decision. So as I said, right, okay, we are not here to complain, but to make a positive change, right? And positive change will take 8 to 10 years at least. So you need to build the base for positive change. If not, you will be waiting another 8 or 10 years, right? From that point you decide to make. So you want to make it. So if you add on whatever 5 years, 10 years down the road, you still want to make that change. It was going to be 13 years, 17 years, or what, right? So for a multi-voice parliament, you need some basal structure, and we need to work towards that and build the support towards that. So you cannot say, "Oh, we're not going to change that and change." It's not possible. All right. And so to build that positive change, the final message is you need to vote for the future. Your vote in 2020 is for 2020 to 2025. Now, so the question you need to ask yourself, is this the type of parliament or is it the right government to bring me forward from 2025 to 2030, right? So if those vouchers have already been paid for, you want to say, oh, so you don't really owe PAP a debt of gratitude for this because it is, first of all, coming from government coffers. Number two, it is an issue for 2020 to 2025. You have to decide at this stage if you're going to live with all the floodings, all the MRT breakdowns, all the accountability issues, right? Job security, job salary, job, prospects, cost of living issues. You're going to live with that for the next 5, 10 years. And if you can say you can survive all these pressures, increasingly all these pressures for the next 5 to 10 years, then sure, go ahead. I'm not going to stop you, right? I mean, it's everybody's free choice. But you think about this carefully, right? Because your vote is actually precious for the future. Why this election matters to you and why you need to consider your vote, who to vote for properly, is because can you survive the next government for the next 5 to 10 years? That is my point.
Okay.
All right.
Let me wrap it up. If you listen to the parliamentary debate the last 3 days, you will realize whatever problems it comes in is a structural problem, right? Like flooding, like low fertility rate, right? Cost of living. PAP only have a message. They have done their best, it's not their problem. Someone else's problem. Right? Low fertility rate, he said, that's not my problem. You know what I mean? He says, so people don't want to get married. This is true. And babies, they do not go down to the root of it. It is because of the population policies creating a high housing cost or inadequate housing for youngsters to get married. And so living is not their problem. Increase of tax and GST. This is their problem. They created the problem. Flooding, they told us that by building the barrage, they can solve flooding problem. But instead, it gets worse. Why is that so? And they have already shown a great plan some years ago say $100 billion to build the structures to prevent flood and all that. Where are they?
Okay, for my position, I'm not so much of criticism. I focus mainly on positive changes. That we will actually fight for the welfare and economic benefits for all citizens. All right.
Well,
All right. So we need to, yeah.
We need to get that accountable. Because no leaders, no minister will say, I fuck. And this is my problem. You have to have people inside to say, hey, is that your problem? You say it's not your problem? How's that so? Yes.
Last question here. I think China they've they've increased their GDP and I think that, like, don't know how many millions is lifted out of poverty over the last decades lah. Okay, I don't know what's the exact figure. So, but they have faced a decrease in infertility what you call that, production or ratio, whatever you want to call it. So the argument that I don't know, I read some studies, they say that, like, as a society gets richer, fertility rate tends to fall. So what do you think? What do you guys think about that?
Okay, you must look at the historical context of China. Remember, initially they were okay until they started this one child, one family, one child policy, and that kind of persecution and policy tends to. So there are several background factors, and yes, as modern society progresses, we do face this problem. But what we are facing in Singapore, right, is not that different. It's just hyper acute, and the situation that we are facing with other factors in terms of governance is aggravating the problem. And for example, you're not making raising a family, right?
Okay. I'll answer that question. First of all, China need to ask who is enough policies. Exactly what is enough policy. And they actually
Plunge.
plunge
That thing takes years to
Second
recover.
thing about this, they also suffer high inflation as inflation in their flats, their properties. And it's very costly. This the rich will have a lot of properties. The commoners buy, cannot afford to buy. That actually is the problem that we're facing. Property is the problem. Insufficient home. When you want to own a home, of course you must have a place to live.
I think they have oversupply. If you track recently, they have too much.
Buy.
Smaller household, 1 million can buy a few properties. There's a redistribution problem. It's not like Singapore one HDB one couple.
There are other things also because you must understand they have a cost of living pressures just like us, but they have their own problems. We don't care about that. We are focused on our own problems which we must solve. I mean, I don't care if a person in Africa may not have 3 meals to eat, maybe 2 meals. Okay, but I have to care about my local citizens if they have 3 meals to eat a day. Correct? We must always focus back on our own citizens, right? Very much.
There's 10 billion people, 1 billion people, 1.4 billion. They can reduce 4 million people, no problem. Until
We cannot. We cannot.
what
We have only one chance in nation building, and we must take it because Lee Kuan Yew built this to be a nation, not a court. And so, therefore, if we are going to protect our families, feed our families, and make sure our future generations have enough to eat, and ourselves have enough to eat, who and what we are going to vote for in the next for this election, 2025, for the next 5 years is important because the pertinent question the last message I'm going to send to all of you here is, are you going to survive the next government for the next 5 years? Just simple like that. Yeah. Can you afford to live on for the next 5 to 10 years at this rate of change of living and the cost of living, expenses, insecure job securities, reduced job salaries, and prospects and all that. So all these pressures are manifest and they're real. Okay, I don't talk from a theoretical point of view. I see this in people and things around me. So if you want to perform me, I think you're going to have a very difficult time because we are looking at staring at it in the face, right? If you think you can perform me, then of course, but the general public is going to agree with me, yeah, because we are looking at it, we are facing it. I stand up for the common man, and I stand for the welfare and economic benefits of the common man. That is my focus, right? So as I said, for every parent who has a child, and every child who has a dream, and every child who wants this dream realized, right? I am for you. And for every housewife, right, there's a half-filled basket of goodies instead of a full-filled basket of goodies to feed their children at home, right? For crying out loud, right? I am with you. So instead of just, we must focus that our vote is for the future, for the next, for 2025 to 2030, for the next 5 years, right? At least, right? Instead of just a temporal voucher which can last you like 2-3 months, right? And I've done calculations. Even if they give you $10,000 and put on the table, right? It is not even going to deflect your food costs, right? For the next 5 years.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Michael.
Thank you.
Okay, where are you going to stand?
No. Wherever fate or God takes me, and if God decides I stand, I stand. If it does, if it don't, they stay there I go.
PPT is a north center
Alright.
part of Singapore, north center. Actually, it has already started the walkabout in Yishun, GRC, okay, and of course, in the Oakville area also, right? But everything is yet to be confirmed. But if you see him on the ground, say hi.
Say hi. I'm on your side, so don't worry. Yeah, and I'm not anti-PAP as well. We just do our best to reform the system, right? So that everybody has a better life, right?
Okay.
Yeah.
One final
And I
thing
wish
is,
every Singaporean
don't
well.
t-shirt, okay, serve the people first, right? And this one is the best selling, very good quality, right? T-shirt, this is best selling, enough bullshit, all right?
Although I'm
Hard to change.
although I'm not so,
Dramatic change
maybe.
because we change. Not really achieve the government. I don't think Singaporeans can bear to the PAP. They love and hate.
But they change your policy, right? More MPs for change of.
We just need to change them the way they conduct themselves, the way they shrug away their responsibility, their accountability. We can actually
Make a difference. Yeah?
make a difference.
With your vote.
Not
With your vote. Yes.
actually rating is something like without tahan. Okay, without.
I didn't say anything.
Right? The rating is something that we cannot tahan. Right? Whatever they say, I just believe that things should not happen. Okay?
Well, even if it's, I mean, we were not saying anything wrong, or if it's legal. The only thing is the disparity in the, I mean, disparity in the, treatment. I mean, it feels so unfair. That's all. Yeah, we do not say whether it's legal or not legal.
And of course,
We just
power to
feel.
the people.
Yes, power to the people.
That's for us.
For every one of you, actually.
Pay now to this account and drop me a mail, to drop me a private message for your teacher to be delivered. Thank you.
Thank you. Good night, everyone. All right, bless you, and may all the love go out to you. All right. Thank you. Bye bye. Bye bye.